guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Rose. So today we are doing a couple of very cute little crafts. So you may have seen some of you may have seen the photograph that I put on Facebook recently, and I was making little button snowmen. So a lot of people seem to really like the idea and they are adorable, so I thought I would come on and show you guys how I'm doing them. Now I'm making an altered paper clip with these. You can make them to hang on a tree or, you know, little things like that as well. But we are doing little paper clips with these today. So I have some buttons, a paper clip, and this is actually, and you can see I've made one from this piece already. This is a cracker wrapper from last Christmas, because being weird like that, I keep all those things. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get our little snowman cut out. And all I'm doing for this, there is no die, no nothing like that. All I'm doing for this is I'm tracing some circles. Now, if you have punches in grading circle sizes, you could use that if they fit your buttons, or dies, things like that. Obviously, work away, more power to you if you have those. I do have circle dies, but nothing this small, so I am going to work away with this for the time being. So I'm using this roll of washi tape, and I am tracing the outside of it, and then I'm going to trace the inside of it for the middle button. As you can see, it fits perfectly around my larger button, so this will be the perfect size. So I'm just going to trace around that. That one, and the inside of it will be the perfect size to go around my other button. Now I'm just going to position my button so that I know where I want it. I want them relatively close. That should be fine. I'm going to take this one out of the way, and I'm just going to place that so that it's fairly central, or as much as I can without leaning in too much and showing you the top of my head yet again. So that looks good to me from here. So I'm going to trace around the inside of my tape roll this time, and intersecting them just a bit like this. And for the top button, I'm going to trace around that middle button. Now that's actually quite small, but I have another button here that would probably work just as well. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to trace around this one. And there we have our little snowman template. Okay, how simple was that? So as you can see, I have folded over the card, and I'm going to cut them out simultaneously. I'm going to cut out the two pieces the same, so that when I come to put them back to back, they will fit together perfectly. And one other thing that I want to do here, just where these bottom two circles intersect, I'm just going to curve that line so that we don't have such a sharp indent in there. And I'm going to do it on both sides. And I will leave the top one. The top one is fine. Okay, so let's get my scissors. Okay, so we have our two little guys cut out. Now, I somehow managed, as I was cutting that out, to push this a little bit, and it didn't cut perfectly together. So I'm just going to do a very quick trim here. Now, by the way, I know snowmen aren't gold, but in my snowman I can do whatever I want. You use white, you use pink even to match your pink Christmas book if you want. It's your snowman. In fact, you could actually do these in a multitude of themes and they would be adorable. So there we have him. He has a little bit of a strange piece there in his head. I'm just going to trim that off quickly as well. There we go. Now he's perfect. Awesome. Now, because this bit is going to be covered over, this pattern is a bit more pleasing to me. Because this bit is going to be covered over, I'll use this for the front. And the next thing we need to do, I think what I want to do here, I'll do my button first. Now, if you've been watching my latest videos and my channel, you know that I love heat embossing. So I decided to go ahead and try heat embossing on a button. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. It's very simple. And I'm just going to get my stamp. Now when I'm choosing a stamp, I know that the pattern isn't going to come out perfectly on the button. I don't need it to, I just want a little something something there. So I'm using this script stamp. So I am going to ink up a part of my stamp that I think will work well here, and I like this piece down here. So I'm just going to ink that. We really don't need to ink a whole lot of it, but now my button is lovely and flat, so I don't need to worry about that. Excuse me. But if you have a curved button, try and use a part of the stamp that doesn't have the backing on it so you can press into it, okay? Very gently. But my button is flat, so I am just going to lay it down. I'm going to turn my stamp over and very gently press onto it. I mean, I'm not putting any pressure, I'm literally just putting the weight of my finger on that, okay? Because when you're working with slick surfaces like this and a Versamark, it will slide if you press too hard, okay? So there we have that. I'm just going to give my stamp a very quick wipe. And get our embossing powder on. There we go. Pick it up and tap it off. Now, it looks like this is a hot mess, okay? But all I'm going to do is I'm going to just blow on this and the pattern comes up, okay? Now again, I have made the same mistake that I made the last time with this. I want my button to be with the two holes going vertically like this instead of horizontally. And I stamped my pattern vertically instead of horizontally. But it, like I said, we just want a little something something on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just going to get this back in here. And I am going to let my heating tool heat up for 10 to 15 seconds and get this done, and I will be right back to you guys. Okay, so there we have a heat embossed button, which looks pretty awesome and very Christmassy. Camera doesn't want to focus on it. There we go. Now, okay, so that is that part. Now the next thing we need to do, we need to stick our buttons down. But first thing I'm going to ink these edges, and I'm going to ink them with Vintage Photo simply because they're on the gold paper. Now if you have a gold pen or gold marker or something like that, you could do the edges with that. But for the purposes of the video, I do have a gold pen there, but I haven't tried it out yet this year, so it may not work. So for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to ink these guys with the Vintage Photo, and I think it'll look fine with gold anyway. Very quickly. Now, okay, so the next thing we need to do is get our buttons stuck on. Now, hot glue would be very fast for this. I don't do very well with hot glue, okay? I rarely use it for that reason. So I am using Dove Craft Ultimate Craft Glue, clear drying acrylic glue, okay? That's what I'm using. Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 should do this as well. Super glue will obviously do it. So you use whatever glue you feel is best for you. So I'm just going to grab my buttons. Now with the 2-hole buttons, you want them so that the bottom two buttons have the holes going vertically and the top one has the holes going horizontally for his little face. Okay, like so. I hope you can see that. I'm going to just bring it in a little bit so that you can see. Oh, you got a flash of my mess there. So like this. Okay, so I can bring it back out. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to let it dry and I will be back. Okay, so our buttons are stuck enough for me to work on anyway. I will need to be careful with them. They do need a little more drying time. But my next step is to get our paper clip on. Now this is quite a long paper clip. It is 5 centimeters long, which is what, about 2 inches? Let's see. Yeah, 2 inches. You could use a smaller one if that's all you have. You just need to make sure it's glued down really well. Things like that. You could obviously use a larger one and do a large snowman. But this is what I have. I'm actually going to leave the smaller side out, I think. Well, I'm going to leave the larger side out. That's the way I did it on the last one as well. So that there is enough space either side here on the smaller leg. Going to get my glue. I'm going to put glue everywhere. There we go. Now, I'm not going to be pressing down in between the legs of the paper clip, but I'm putting glue there anyway, just in case some bit of it does catch. It will always, any bit that sticks will help. Now, you guys have made paper clips before. You know all this stuff already. But just in case there is somebody out there who hasn't, you need to make sure you get as much stick as possible. Okay, so we're going to line up our little snowmans. And I'm being very careful with my buttons, as you can see. And because I'm being careful with my buttons, I'm actually going to pick it up in my hands to do this bit. And I'm just going to press the two pieces together. Like so. So there we have the base. Now, I will continue to kind of keep these pressed together as much as I can as I'm going through the next step. Just because I'm not waiting for the glue to dry. You really need to wait for your glue to dry at this stage, okay? There is some glue seeping out here. I'm just going to get that wiped away now. When you're using mirror card, you really don't want to get a glue smeared around it because it really does show. Okay, so that. Isn't he looking adorable? So the next thing I have his little hat. Now, all I did to get these hats, and get him up closer to you. And let's hope I have glue all over my hand. I don't know if that's going to focus for you guys. So all I did, I searched on Google for snowman hats. I downloaded a couple of them. I put them into Photoshop, or you can use whatever editing program you want to. Word will do it for you. Publisher, things like that. Even Paint or whatever. Put them into the program, resize them. I size these to be roughly 1/2 inch either way. Flipped them, copied it, flipped it so that I had two, and I backed one onto the other so it is double-sided. Okay, so that's what I have there. Now I'm not putting the hat either side of the paper clip because I don't think it would work very well here, simply because it is a paper clip we are using. And there will be a little bit of stress on the top there, so I'm just going to stick it on the front. So I'm using my fabric glue yet again. Just going to see which way I want this. I think that way as opposed to that way. Oh, that's kind of cute as well though. No, I think it has to be that way. Okay. I'm just going to get a little bit of glue along the bottom here. Just going to dab that a little bit just to make it sticky. And that's how I have glue on my hands. We'll get this positioned. And he's having a jaunty little hat there. Off to the side. Okay, he's looking awesome. There's one final touch. I have here a length of teddy bear yarn. Now, any kind of eyelash yarn or anything will do for this, anything that you want to use. I'm just going to give him a little scarf. I'm putting it up underneath the paper clip at the back side. Now, this does hamper how far down he will go on the page. So if you don't want to hamper that, if you want him down flush with the page, you will need to just stick this to the front. But I don't mind that his little face will be peeping out. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a wraparound scarf. Now I'm wrapping this around twice so that he'll be nice and toasty and cozy. Just going to knot it. And with this yarn, your knots really don't even matter because you can't see them. It's hard to even see what you're doing to get the knots in there in the first place. Like this, see? Let's try that one again. So I'm just doing a basic knot here. Nothing fancy. Oh, and his hat came off. Whoops. Let's get that back on quick before the glue is too dry. There we go. And he has his little scarf. So there he is, guys. Isn't he just the most adorable little thing? So cute. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed him. And like I said, you can do these in any colour you like to match your theme. Like blues and pinks would be fabulous. Obviously I have the green, red and gold here. You could do silver and red, whatever you want. Bear in mind that snowmans don't have to be white. They obviously you can use the white, but they don't have to be. Get creative. Use pattern paper in the background, things like that. As long as you're using the 3 buttons on the front and a hat, you will have no trouble deciphering what he is. Now, this next project, I adore this. Now this is one I just put together while I was waiting for the snowman to dry. I got kind of started on this it's not finished. I do want to put a little loop here and maybe some other bits and pieces, but it is a paper clip also, double-sided. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did it. It's a little bit fiddly, but that's okay. And okay, so I have a template here, and again all I did, I went online, I searched Christmas stocking template and came up with this and sized it the way I wanted it. So you can do that, or you can freehand it. Maybe you have a picture of a Christmas stocking that you can cut out, trace around. Lots of different ways to get those. Okay, so we need 4 of these shapes, 2 separate ones and 2 together. So for our actual paperclip piece underneath, we need to do it this way. So I'm just going to place it on there. I'm going to draw around it. Now it would be more helpful if you had a cardboard template, but I had used mine, so I have a paper one here that I'm just going to use as literally a template. I had the two card ones and I used them inside this one, so not realizing what I was that I was going to be showing you guys as well. Okay, so that's that part of it. And we're going to need two separate ones as well. So I'm going to do these down here where they're not, where it's not kind of stuck together. Just going to draw this again. Okay, so I'm going to go and get these pieces cut out and I will be right back. Okay, so we have our pieces. I have these two separate pieces. They would go quite nicely back to back, like so. And then we have this piece that is a flip like so. Okay, so we're going to put this piece aside for now. We're going to be working with the two separate pieces just for the next few minutes. And I'm going to use the exact same fabrics and everything that I used in the last ones. So I have here just some, it's a curtain sample fabric, is what it actually is. And I'm going to glue the cardboard pieces to this. And I'm going to cut them out. I'm going to glue them down first, and then I'm going to cut them out. But I'm going to cut them so that there is roughly a 1/4 inch around, and I'm just going to cut it in the same shape. Okay, so I'm going to do that for both of these back to back. Make sure you have them turned opposite ways, guys. Okay. I almost did it. So I will get them glued and cut out and I will be back. Okay, so they're all glued down and cut out, and I just wanted to say as well, guys, that you can actually do these from paper, obviously, if you wanted to just use cardstock, but I found a technique with the fabric that I just wanted to show you, and I think they look really, they just look so luxurious when they're covered in fabric, you know. Now, because we're covering this in fabric, we are going to need to make some little cuts in here, and I'm going to cut the corners the same as we would when we are covering a journal. Going to cut those off, and anywhere there's a curve, whether it's a curve in or a curve out, we're going to make a little V cut. I know there's a name for those, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. I am not a seamstress or a sewer or anything like that, so and we have another one here at the toe. Now we are probably going to have to make more of these as we go, but for a start, this is pretty good. So at all of those curves, another one here at the heel, and that includes just this very slight curve here. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other one, and there we have those. Okay, so now comes the fiddly bit. We have our fabric glue. Now, if you're using Fabric-Tac or a 3-in-1, this might go a lot faster for you, but because I'm using this, it might be a little bit slow. But if you have any white fabric glue, you can do this as well. Obviously, you can use hot glue, whatever works for you. So, I'm going to start wherever, and I'm just going to start tucking those folds. Trying to get it as close to that template as I can, which is why we have those little V cuts in there. That's down. I'm going to go to the next one. Now there's a little bit of extra fabric there that I really don't want coming over that edge. So the name of the game here is to try and make this as neat as possible to the shape that we have. Sure, there are a lot of seamstresses out there who will be very familiar with this process of the cutting the V's and putting things around shapes and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to get this one folded up. Now they might not go up in those exact pieces that you have cut, and that's okay. Just take it one piece at a time to get the shape that you want. Sometimes when you fold it up you will get a little bit of extra fabric like this. That is totally fine. If it's not too much you can leave it. If you feel it's too bulky you can just snip it off like this. Just being careful not to cut your card as well. And I'm checking from the other side as well to make sure the shape is the way I want it to be. Now I know that down here we're going to have another V shape. We're going to have to cut another V shape here. The template actually just showed 2 V shape cuts and it just wasn't enough. Maybe if you were making it out of fabric it probably would be, but certainly not for covering card. Okay. Just going to snip in there. And I'm going to snip it, maybe not. I'm actually going to leave that and overlap it because I think there would be too much of a gap and it would leave a space down here. So I'm just going to overlap this bit. Again, I'm going to have to do a little cut here. And all I'm doing is I'm just looking to see down inside here. You won't be able to see it on the camera unfortunately, but just down inside here to where it continues off in the straight line and doesn't come up around the curve. That's all I'm looking for, and I'm just making a little snip there. A little bit more glue here and we should be around the toe then. Lovely. See, so that's looking quite good on the other side so far. And those are the hardest parts to get right. So once you get that sorted, you're on the home run. But don't forget we have to do this twice. There's a little bit to come off here, just a little bit. Turned. One of the good things about this glue is you get some working time with it and then it gets nice and tacky so that when you try to put down your loose threads and things they just go down so nicely. There's no mucking about. Another little cut here. I'm actually going to split that there as well because I know that that's not going to go around the curve for me. So we'll have that and we'll have that. 2 of them together. looking pretty good. And here we're on a straight. Get this turned. Paying attention to that little curved bit down here to make sure that that is flush. This fabric likes to fray quite a lot. I have a bit of a frog in my throat today, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to pop across to the other side and I'll do the top last. There we go. And again, there's a slight curve there on the back of that stocking, so I'm just making sure that that curve is nice and flush, that the fabric is nice and flush with the card when I'm doing that curved part just down here. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. That looks pretty good. And we'll just fold down the top. Now, I approach this part the very same as I do when I'm covering a book, and I turn in my corners so that we get nice neat corners. It's going to be quite hard to show you that here. So I'm just pushing in the corner with my nail, trying to keep that cardboard straight and not bent, okay? And all you're doing is trying to avoid the corner showing, the corner of the card showing. And I'm going to fold it down. And there we have it. Okay, so that's one side done. I'm going to pop off and get the other side done and I'll be back. Okay, so we have our two pieces covered. Took a little while. And the next thing is the piece that I discovered that I really wanted to show you guys. Involves heat embossing on this fabric. Now this is something that I hadn't tried before, maybe you have, and I was really excited that this actually worked. So I have this beautiful swirly stamp. Got it on Wish, somewhere like that, so I can't give you links for it, I'm afraid. Got it a long time ago. So I'm just going to do my anti-static pad on the fabric itself. And we're going to ink up our stamp. And place it on there. And make sure that you get an even pressure all around. Don't try to kind of do it with your fingers. Either use a stamp block or the palm of your hand. So that's that one, and I'm going to do the two of these together. Here we go. And get this down. And that is that. Now, we need our embossing powder. And as always, I'm using my gold embossing powder. It is Christmas. And I'm going to just sprinkle it on there, the same as we would do if we were doing this on paper or card. My hands are all sticky with the glue, so I'm going to have embossing powder everywhere. And you actually get quite a nice impression of that stamp. I really didn't expect that. I don't know if this works with all fabrics. I will be trying it out with more fabrics, but it certainly works with this one. And I don't know if I could manage to do it without sticking it to card first. I'll have to try that also. But I'll let you guys know about that. Okay, here we go again. You would expect that the embossing powder is just going to stick to everything here, but it really doesn't. And again, we have a nice little impression there. So get this put away. Ooh, nearly had a very big spill there. It may seem like there wasn't much on my paper, but if you spill that amount of embossing powder all over your desk, believe me, it feels like there's a mountain of it there. It's just nasty stuff to have around because it's just gritty. It feels terrible. So it's much nicer to have it cleaned up. Okay, so I'm going to heat my embossing tool. I'm actually going to leave it heat for about 20 minutes this time, or 20 minutes, 20 seconds. And I will mute the sound for you guys so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary really. I am going to use the tweezers to pick my piece up though. It's a nice big piece to be able to do that. Okay. Okay, so that's both our pieces done. Now this looks very, very different and feels very, very different on fabric than it does on card. And I think it gives a fantastic finish on here. It almost looks like it's the fabric woven in that pattern. So that is awesome. Just make sure I have all the bits. It can actually be harder to see this embossing powder turning molten on the fabric as well, so you need to really kind of watch what you're doing and not burn it, not scorch it. So that's those. Now we need our other piece, and we need our paper clip. So, and from here it's pretty much very similar or the same as an altered paper clip that we've been doing. There we have that. There is one piece, alright, that I really want to kind of speak to you guys about, but we'll get this part done. So we'll get these stuck down. With this piece, guys, what I wanted to do, and I just forgot to do it, I want to cut slightly smaller around that contour. Just come in slightly from the edge of your piece and cut a piece off from all the ways around. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I don't want this brown paper showing at the edges. So I'm just making sure that it has plenty of scope for our front piece to cover it properly. Okay, now put back on my paper clip. This could be turning into a comedy of errors here. I'm going to get that on, and I'm going to do it from the back so that I can center it properly. Perfect. Okay, that's that. Just get rid of some of that glue at least. Going to hold this down till it's taken. Obviously if you have Fabric-Tac again, this is going to be much faster. Okay, we should be good to put the glue on the other side for now anyway. And that can be setting up while we're waiting on that one. So in between projects, I've still been working on my A to Z of Christmas crafts. I'm having so much fun with that still. Have you guys done all your crafts? Are you still keeping up? What are you doing? Have you made a journal for them? Tell me in the comments below, because that event really isn't over for me at all yet. I'm still making the stuff from it, and probably will be for the month of December in between other projects as well. So much fun. So many beautiful, beautiful, and I've seen so many journals with all the beautiful crafts in them. Oh my lord. And I won Rachel's journal. How amazing was that? It still hasn't really hit home. I haven't received the journal yet, so when I receive it, it's going to be like Christmas morning. It's going to be amazing. Okay. So, you can see how we're taking shape here. So cute. They're just adorable. If I do say so myself. Okay. So, same as on the other one, I want to put some lace around the top of it. Just make sure that's all stuck down nicely there. It'll be fine anyway. And as we know, this will pop on to a page like so. Now, this is the piece I wanted to talk to you guys about, because on this one, if you'll notice, this clip only goes that far on the page, and that's because I wrapped the lace around the sides. Now, I did that on purpose. I decided I like to see this popping out the top like a tab, but if you don't want it to pop out like that, you need to put two separate pieces of lace, one to the front and one to the back. Now personally, I think that looks slightly messy, but if you're okay with that, you work away and you do that. But I'm going to wrap this one again, same as the other one, because I really like that effect. So it looks nice and neat. Okay, and I have some little trim here that I'm going to put on as well. Just get the glue on there ready for that. And there we have it. Awesome! So, that is it from me for today, guys. Aren't they just beautiful? Oh, excuse me. So there's those, and where's our little snowman guy? Here he is. So 2 different altered paper clips, Christmas style. I love these. I'm in love with these. So you can go on and you can put your little ribbon here. You can put a dangle off it. So many things you can do with these guys. You could also leave the paper clip poking up and put a dangle coming off of that. Lots and lots of options. So by all means, if you do make these, please tag me on Facebook or Instagram, because I would love to see what you guys come up with. I think they're stunning. Okay, so that's it for today. Have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.